So welcome back to part 2 now. In part 2 we are going to discuss in detail about the functional the functional aspect, the functionality and the company's processes are going to be discussed in detail in part 2. So first we did the industry analysis, industry overview. Second, we did the introduction to the company, which was part 1 of the pre-scene. Now we are going into the details of the company, which is part 2. And then we'll be going to part 3, which is the financial discussion for this company. Very important that we make sure that we understand this system, that we report and clearly understand what we are trying to do through this pre-scene analysis. First, understanding our company. Second, pointing out important E2, P2, F2 pillars. And third, giving you throughout ideas to use within your mock questions. See, I do so much of discussion, but if you don't actually use this information within your mock questions, within whatever writing that you're doing, your writing practice, then it's going to be of zero use. For example, when you are writing about our company, you should include information from the pre-scene. Let's say the question was about, let's say, opening a new owned salon, for example. You can start your answer by saying that Trimayr focuses on the franchisee platform or the franchisee method mainly, but we do have some owned salons, so we need to decide what strategic direction the business wants to go in the future and then make this decision. So if you just sum up your answer in this way by including some information from the pre-scene, by including some details from the pre-scene discussion within your answer, the examiner knows that okay, this student has gone through the pre-scene, this student knows the company, and you get business acumen credit. So all of this information I'm giving you to help you understand the company, but for you to remember it in your own words and use it when the time comes in mock questions. Otherwise, this discussion is pretty much of no use. So let's continue where we left off. We have discussed rather the franchisee method or how the franchisee system works in the salon environment. We're taking it now further. So franchisees will be free to conduct the remaining aspects of their business as they see fit. We already discussed this. There is let's say there is centralization in terms of making major decisions, but then there is decentralization as well in some aspects such as staffing, location, pricing. This the franchisee can decide by themselves. So salons are free to hire their own staff and set their own rates of pay. Franchisees can lease or buy the premises of their choosing, that's up to them. Franchisees can set their own prices for the services they provide, taking account of local conditions. Now, because leasing is mentioned over here, franchisees which are leasing premises must recognize right of use of asset and lease liabilities under your IFRS 16. You should have knowledge of this. You will say why? They can give you a scenario in the exam and tell you that now we are going ahead and leasing a new let's say a new salon space instead of buying it. How will we record it? What will be the subsequent measurement, for example? Or we have a place and we are now leasing it out to a franchisee partner. So both situations, where you are taking on lease and where you are giving on lease, should be clear. This is IFRS 16 leases. So franchisors provide training for franchisees. This training covers the management skills required to operate the franchise effectively and to maximize revenues. Franchisors usually insist that each franchised salon is managed on a day-to-day basis by an experienced hairdresser. Franchisees need not take an active part in the daily running of their salons, and so they need not necessarily be hairdressers. It can just be a person who manages everything who is not a hairdresser, like a manager, a general manager as well is okay. But one person to manage the day to day is essential. Franchisees who are not hairdressers must restrict themselves to admin duties in their salons, or regardless of qualification, they may leave them entirely under the control of hairdressers whom they employ as managers. So there can be a separate manager, or there can be a hairdresser who looks at everything. So again, we are speaking about authority, delegation, span of control being set over here. Also, we'll speak about corporate governance over here a little bit from your F2 syllabus. So when franchisees are passive owners, they are relying on managers to run the operations. There is an agency relationship, which means one agent is running the business, and that defines the fate of the business plus the benefit that Trimayr receives. So the agency relationship will be important over here to keep in mind, because agency risk arises if salon managers do not act in the best interest of the franchisee. If the franchisee doesn't make money, then Trimayr will not receive royalties, will not make money. So this agency issue is something that I wanted to discuss over here. Next, nationwide hairdressing businesses. So in Dazzland, there are 6 national chains of hairdressing salons. 2 are traditional and 4 are franchised. Traditional means every shop is owned and operated. So 350 upmarket salons, Omega and Troon owns and operates a chains of upmarket hairdressing salons. They are owned and operated. So they will also be our competitors. They have a reputation for being innovative and expensive. The company's client list includes many celebrities. So they are completely in the differentiation space through innovation, through premium prices, and that is, their clients are celebrities. The second chain is mid-market chain, which is Martha and Mike. So top market is Omega and Troon. Mid-market is Martha and Mike. Owns and operates its own salons, most of which are located in city centers and shopping malls. They provide good service at a reasonable price. Many of its customers are office workers and young professionals. So again, their niche, their differentiation is focusing on mid-market and providing affordable and quality service. Now come the franchised chains. In the franchise chains, first one is 40 Trimayr Pop mid-market salon. So we are in the mid-market segment and in the upmarket segment. So 40 Trimayr Pop mid-market salons owns and operated by the company. So we own and operate 40 salons which are in the mid-market segment. Then we franchise 380 Trimayr Pop mid-market salons. So again, Pop category 40 we own, 380 we franchise, and 140 Trimayr Sheen upmarket franchises. So the Pop segment focuses on mid-market, the Sheen segment focuses on upmarket. So the Sheen segment is effectively competing with Omega and Troon. The Pop segment is effectively competing with Martha and Mike. So this diversification of operational models spreads our risk and allows flexibility. So it's good that we have these different models and different markets that we are focusing on. So Trimayr is acting like a corporate parent, providing strategic guidance, resources, and brand support to its franchisees, enabling them to do well. And if they do well, then Trimayr also does well. So there will be consolidation consideration over here, because we have 4 different salons, because we have franchisees, because we will have assets, because we will have different businesses. We have different businesses. The consolidation aspect is coming to my mind. So Trimayr used to own and operate all of its salons. It is now primarily a franchise chain because we only operate 40 Pop mid-market. We own 40 pop mid-market salons. Everything else is franchised. So franchises operate as profit centers generally, with performance targets and autonomy within Trimayr's strategic framework. The owned salons that we have can be treated as your investment centers because you're controlling every aspect. The franchisees can be treated as profit centers. So this is your responsibility center discussion from the P2 syllabus. Same way, shifting to franchise growth reduces capital investment. But we can use this money to fund our brand development, to fund our training, to fund our other expansions. So cost of capital is also a consideration over here. Next, Trimayr operates under two brands. Sheen is the upmarket brand, which is styling and treatment from a Trimayr salon costs more than from most rival salons. Sheen focusing on upmarket. Pop is mid-market. Its prices are lower than those of Trimayr Sheen and are comparable to those of rival mid-market chains. So Trimayr Sheen has prices higher than most rivals, even in the upmarket segment. Pop has lower than Sheen but comparable to mid-market rivals. Both brands aim to attract a wide range of customers from across their respective market segments. The salons are designed to appeal to as many potential customers as possible, and they are decorated in an attractive manner. So there were 4 franchised salons. The first one is Trimayr. The second one is Fox and Tiffin. But they only focus on the mid-market salon segment, and they have 400 mid-market salons. The company aims to attract younger customers in their teens and 20s. Salons have a vibrant decor and they are always lively. So their target segment is young customers. Pricing for this segment must balance affordability with perceived value. So what can we do? Let's say, they are one of our competitors. So we need to be aware of what they're doing better than us. Benchmarking, external market analysis is important. Next, 450, again, mid-market seems to be very, very heavily competed for, because there are a lot of mid-market salon discussions and a lot of mid-market players also. So under the mid-market, second player is Norman & May, second competitor rather. They franchise mid-market salons that aim to attract affluent customers. They price their services at the top end of the mid-market niche while remaining cheaper than upmarket rivals. So targeting affluent customers leads to higher customer lifetime value because they are expected to spend more, not only on haircut. They might get a color treatment, they might get some other treatment at the salon. So repeat businesses become more possible when you focus on affluent customers. Yes, the number reduces, volume reduces, but average customer lifetime value could go up. Last, again in the mid-market salon, we have Palo and True, franchisees mid-market salons that aim for the affordable end of the mid-market salon. So they are located in city centers. They focus on the affordable mid-market, which means at the lower end of the mid-market, but still higher than low market salons. So they are focusing on cost leadership. Now, I would request you to keep this in mind about your competitors. What each competitor is good at. Again, in your topic list sheet itself, write it down. Palo and True focusing on affordable mid-market. Norman & May focusing on top end of mid-market. Fox and Tiffin focusing on young customers. Trimayr, you already know. Your other competitors also write it down in this same way. Next, salons owned and franchised by the 6 national chains are spread across Dazzland. Individual chain salons compete with one another in specific locations, such as a particular city's principal shopping street. We already know there is going to be high competitive rivalry in this market. What each one does different will be the key factor of success. Individual chain salons also compete with independent salons within a specific area. There can be chain salons and there can be individually owned salons as well. For example, there are 6 upmarket salons in capital cities, prestigious Bartimer Street, an Omega and Troon, a Trimayr Sheen, and then there are 4 other independent salons on one street itself. So competing in prestigious locations like Bartimer Street enables premium pricing strategies. But you will need to justify the high prices. Naturally, we are a brand, we have been in the market for a long time, so we have that going for us. But benchmarking and competitive analysis will be very important in this market because this market is heavily contested. The nationwide chains have their own training colleges as well. So again, change in business model. The change was first you owned, then you franchised. Now the third part of your business model is having your own training college, so providing training as well. This is not outsourced. You have your own training college as well. So these have a number of roles. First, franchisee training. The franchise chains require newly appointed franchisees to complete training courses that focus on issues associated with running a salon. The courses will cover the chain's brand and its associated approach, the business skills required to run a salon, and the admin skills rules related to operating a salon. So all of this is an extra training that we are providing that we are naturally going to charge for. So it's a different segment of our business model. So franchisee training on admin rules and reporting promotes process standardization. Like I said, there is standardization in franchisees because every salon should feel the same. Franchisees are trained to focus on your key KPIs. Now, if as a training provider, Trimayr doesn't know the KPIs which are important, the critical success factors which are important, the budgeting methods which are important, the cost control methods, all of this is in P2, then how will you impart this to your franchisee training? So first, we as Trimayr will have to be very clear about our business mission, the vision, the KPIs, the budgeting, and once this all is set, then you can impart this knowledge to your franchisee partner. Next, training experienced hairdressers. So all chains require salon staff to participate in regular training so that they know the latest styles and techniques. Training can be delivered through a combination of in-person courses and online material. Please remember, we as a business should also do this because it promotes continuous improvement or the Kaizen approach. Chains also use their colleges to provide induction training to hairdressers who have been appointed to their salons. These courses focus on the company's approach to customer service and the quality of product that we use. So the first was franchisee training, second was hairdresser training, third apprenticeship or apprentice training. The chains provide apprentices with college training to supplement the practical experience that they gain while working in salons. So you can get practical experience from anywhere, but some theories, some technicalities is important which these training courses provide. So apprentices follow an integrated program of work experience combined with college instruction. So books. Chains invest heavily in providing apprentices with high quality training and education. The intention is to attract ambitious young people into the program and to retain their skills once they are qualified. So once you qualify, you give them the training, and then the idea is to make them work in a Trimayr franchise only. So you are acquiring good solid people, training them, including them within the Trimayr ecosystem, which is obviously to the overall benefit of the business. So this was a completely different business model area that we explored, which is the training, the training aspect. Now we finally start speaking about Trimayr. Finally, Trimayr discussion has come up. Up until now, we did a little bit of an intro, then we started speaking about the hairdressing market, and then specifically focusing on the Dazzland market. We did all of that, plus we have done our industry analysis. I hope you are making your list of topics, continuously following up on that. Now we actually begin the discussion for my company, the details of my company. So Magda Trimayr started as an apprentice hairdresser in Dazzland's capital city in the 1960s. She opened her first salon in 1974. She quickly established herself through the creation of new innovative styles that found favor with celebrities. So a person who was an apprentice hairdresser opened her first salon in 1974, and because she was new, innovative, she attracted celebrities to her salons. Her latest designs started to become newsworthy, with newspapers and magazines publishing articles about the impact that she was having on the Dazzlandian fashion scene. So she started to become popular. Her designs came, her hair styles came in the news. So it picked up traction. The first most important aspect which is coming to my mind is that the Trimayr brand has been in the market from 1960 or 1974 if you want to count from when the first salon opened. So you have been, or rather your brand has been in the market for 51 years. Every market goes through stages of booms, recessions, and surviving for 51 years means you are doing something wrong. Which means your wrong has been removed out and you are doing something right. Sorry, reframing it for you. So when you are doing something right and when you have been in the market for such a long time, which surely means that your company has garnered goodwill, loyal set of customers. So this is your F2 pillar of goodwill. Your company will have goodwill. So if one aspect, one part of the company is sold, for example, there is a divestment that is happening in an exam scenario, then goodwill calculation will be important because your company has garnered goodwill. Second, if you buy a company and they have goodwill, again goodwill calculation comes into the picture. You're not expected to do any calculations in the exam. But what is goodwill? How do we calculate it in terms of the theory will be important for you to know and for you to explain. So goodwill, brand valuation, this is your intangible asset. That's the discussion that I'm trying to make over here. So Magda proved to be a capable business person as well. She capitalized on her fame to open upmarket salons in several of Dazzland's major cities. In 1986, Magda opened her first mid-market salon under the Trimayr Pop brand name. By then, there were 70 upmarket salons which were rebranded Trimayr Sheen. So, in 1986, she opened her first mid-market salon, and by then she had already 70 upmarket salons which were rebranded Trimayr Sheen. So the Trimayr Pop and Trimayr Sheen brands represent a multi-brand strategy. We don't have one brand. We have multiple brands focused on different customer segments with differentiated offerings. So we moved in the mid-market segment, which broadened our market reach, capturing price sensitive customers. Now nowhere has it been mentioned that Trimayr focuses on the low market, the low market salons. Only upmarket and mid market is what we focus on. Is it because we don't want to associate ourselves with cheaper hair cutting services? But I see that as an opportunity. Let's say you want to grow globally to a different part of the world where the GDP is not as high as Dazzland. So we can enter by diversifying into the low market segment. That's just a thought that's coming to my mind. Or even in Dazzland, we can start a low market new brand called Trimayr, whatever XYZ. That could be a scenario in the exam for which you may need capital, for which your cost of capital, weighted average cost of capital, all of these situations are coming to mind just as a thought. So Trimayr was listed on the Dazzlandian Stock Exchange in 2003. By then, Magda had retired from the business. She sold all of her shares and no longer has any active interest. She made her money, sold, and she does not have any active interest. So as a publicly listed company now, Trimayr's board of directors are accountable to the external shareholders. You are a listed company, you are listed on the stock exchange, which means you are more visible, you have better goodwill, you have faster access to funds, you can raise funds on the stock market. But disadvantages are there is lots of accountability, lots of compliance that you need to stick to. So corporate governance code coming into the picture over here. This was my F2 aspect that I wanted to discuss over here. And listing provides equity finance. So equity finance, types of debt finance from your F2 syllabus become important, and because you are listed, you have more disclosure requirements as well. So your IFRS coming into the picture. All the different IFRSs into F2 coming into the picture over here. In 2005, Trimayr's board decided to shift the company's focus from owning and operating all of its salons to a mainly franchised operation. By that stage, the company had 75 Trimayr Sheen salons and 115 Trimayr Pop salons, giving it a strong presence in both niches. So we had a strong presence in both niches. Then the company decided to do something new, innovative, drastic, and move to the franchisee model. So strategic change coming into the picture over here, because we changed our strategy altogether. Next, revenue recognition, again a discussion. Moving to a franchise model changes my revenue stream, requiring initial recognition of initial franchise fee, ongoing royalties, training and support. All of this has to comply to your IFRS 15. And again, your capital employed is affected because you have lower capital employed now, which improves your return on capital employed, but a critical aspect will be controlling these franchisee environment that you are now entering. So again, speaking of important topics throughout, hope you are listing these down. If you have already listed them down, for example, IFRS 15 discussed above, so list down the system, the scenario as well. For example, over here you will write IFRS 15 change from owning to franchising. So different revenue streams recorded, full stop. So when the same topic is repeated, doesn't mean you don't write the topic. Write the scenario in one line of why that topic came up again. So the company has gradually disposed of most of its salons, either closing them or transferring them to franchisees in return for a fee. So we closed them or we gave it to franchisees for a fee. They bought it from us. The company now owns and operates 40 Trimayr Pop salons only. There are also 380 franchised Trimayr Pop salons and 140 Trimayr Sheen. We already know this. So Trimayr's closure or sale of owned salons is part of divestment, because we divested away from that ownership. So communicating this with our internal, external stakeholders will be important, because managing stakeholder expectations, E2 syllabus, is a very important aspect that we need to be aware of. One more important aspect coming now: capital investment appraisal. Now, decisions to close or transfer salons require investment appraisal. At what price will you sell? At what optimum value should you sell? So when we did that, considering net present value of ongoing operations versus the sale proceeds would have to be considered. Same way, a scenario can now come up that the 40 that we own are also being sold. So we need to make an investment appraisal using the NPV method. If you haven't revised NPV, IRR, ARR, payback period, discounted payback period, they can use any investment appraisal to raise that question. You will not be able to answer. And I'm giving you the scenario also over here for discussion, where you need to consider the NPV of the ongoing operations. If you continue owning, what is your present value? If you sell, what is your value that is being offered? That consideration will have to be made. So Trimayr's policy has always been to lease salon premises. It advises franchisees to do the same. Majority leasing is what we do. We don't own because we don't want to tie in our capital. So salon interiors must be decorated and organized in accordance with the company's style guide, which specifies everything from the floor to the wall to the colorings to furnitures, everything. So leasings, because you lease salon premises, right of use of asset has to be recorded, lease liability has to be recorded. So leasing is becoming very important over here because of our business model. Designing and fitting a new salon in accordance with the style guide requires professional advice to ensure that each individual salon operates efficiently and is an attractive space for customers, while ensuring that all salons comply with the style requirements of their respective brands. So process re-engineering is what we are speaking of over here, because designing salons to maximize operational efficiency reflects process re-engineering. Optimizing customer throughput, which means, okay, you want a good salon. Let's re-engineer it from the beginning so that we can give good customer throughput. We can minimize the wait times. And as always, a cost benefit analysis will need to be calculated, to be carried out, to make sure that the cost is justified for the fit out. And then the franchisee also has a chance to earn money, because only if the franchisee earns money, we earn money and our brand grows. Next, to salons. Each franchise salon has a principal who is effectively the owner of the business. The salon principal need not be qualified in hairdressing and need not work full-time as well. So the salon principal operates with a high level of autonomy, typically managing their own profit center that we have already spoken about multiple times. So the discussion of responsibility centers has already been made for you earlier. Performance measurement will be very important, because if one particular franchise salon is not doing well, then you will not do well because you won't receive your royalties. So we need to make sure that the salon does well. Indeed, some principals own and operate more than one salon. Trimayr holds the principal accountable for the operation of the salon, and any customer complaints will be addressed to the principal. Now, if the principal fails to address customer complaints, then reputational risk is on the line. Risk management will be important, and this brings in the case of internal benchmarking as well. Our internally owned salons can be benchmarked against, let's say, a franchise salon, so that we understand what we are doing internally, if it's working, and then imply it and tell our franchisees to follow the same. Same can be done with KPIs as well. Internal KPIs can also be benchmarked. Next, salons are equipped with electronic point of sale equipment that provides principals with daily reports on revenue from styling, treatments, and retail sales for healthcare products. These reports are automatically uploaded to Trimayr's head office. A management information system is coming to the fore over here. Digital aspect coming to the fore over here because an electronic point of sale system is being used. So this system enhances visibility, enhances control, but data accuracy. What we are doing with this data, data analytics, data mining, big data, how Trimayr is using this information becomes a very important consideration and discussion over here from the digital side. Because up until now, nothing has been mentioned about Trimayr leveraging digital benefits for the business. Now, Trimayr tracks the following KPIs. So we already have 7 KPIs, seven KPIs for each salon that we track. Average spend, number of new customers, existing customer retention rate, average waiting time, average service time, staff turnover, and revenue per square meter. We track these. So naturally, these are very important 7 indicators for Trimayr. You need to remember these KPIs. Now, these indicators reflect the customer perspective and the internal business perspective. So, these KPIs are aimed to making, or rather, they are aimed at the customer, plus they are aimed at the process of giving the service. High staff turnover is important along with that. So please make sure you are aware that okay, customer service is important to Trimayr. Staff turnover is important to Trimayr. Then how quickly we serve the customer is important to Trimayr. These are important aspects for Trimayr because these are my major KPIs. Each salon has an electronic point of sale system that tracks individual customer visits in terms of time spent waiting for service and the time taken to serve them once they are seated. So again, the KPI was already mentioned. The system also records sale of services and products during each visit, and data is again transmitted to the head office on a daily basis. So automatic transfer of data is occurring every time there is a sale within the business, may it be related to a treatment, a service, or anything that is sold. So the point of sale system captures both transactional and operational data, which will be used in management accounting, because this data is what you will use for your budgets. This data is what you will use for your business budgets, for your business costing, for your reports. So this data is going to be very important and something that we are relying on. Next, monitoring service times allows salons to use capacity utilization, improving resource allocation to minimize waiting times. The company provides feedback to principals on their performance at the end of each month. Daily you are receiving data, you collate this management data, and then you inform the principals about their performance. Satisfied customers are loyal to their favorite salons and will often spend more during each visit. Trimayr receives royalties Trimayr receives royalties based on revenues from hairdressing from each salon, and so both the company and its principals have a direct interest in customer satisfaction and in sales. So So if the customer is not satisfied, he doesn't come again. He doesn't spend on your salon. If he doesn't spend on your salon, you are the person who are losing out. So it's always important that this franchise partner is your, is your help, is your backbone of the business. Let's put it that way. So providing monthly feedback on performance drives motivation, and customer relationship management becomes ever so important within this business. Now, Trimayr has a business intelligence system. You already have a system. This system is going to be your intangible asset, IS 38 F2 syllabus, because it's your internally developed system. We use this system to supplement routine rankings of KPIs. The BIS enables managers at Trimayr's head office to create additional reports incorporating both structured and unstructured data that have not necessarily been gathered for any specific reason. So this BIS is what we are relying on. So this BIS enables advanced data analysis. See, we were gathering all of that data that we spoke about in the last section. What are we doing with the data? It has been mentioned that we have analyzed this data and used structured, unstructured data for strategic decision making. So this is a big data analytics part which supports predictive modeling, trend analysis, customer insights that will help you serve your customers in a better way. This is an important aspect of the E2 syllabus. Because we are using data, we have understood the benefit of data. Taking big data to the next level for the business is what you should be thinking. How the business can use data in a better way to serve our customers, because we already have a solid BIS system. Franchise agreements are subject to renewal at 5-year intervals. Renewal is at the discretion of both Trimayr and principals. The vast majority of franchises are renewed, but salons that underperform in terms of these performance indicators are at a risk of being denied permission to renew. So IAS 36, impairment coming into the picture. So persistence, underperformance of salons could lead to impairment reviews, particularly if Trimayr holds any financial interest or receivables from franchisees. Now, very important, because a negotiation is coming into the picture over here. So negotiation topic, the 4 stages of negotiation, the influence topic, the persuasion topic from E2 syllabus become important. And also because you have so many stakeholders and majorly the principals that you are speaking to, the principals of the franchisees that you are speaking to, conflicts are bound to happen. So how we manage conflicts, conflict management becomes a very important consideration. Steps of conflict management becomes important. Next, we are speaking about Trimayr's head office now. Now the head office is located in the fashion district of Dazzland's capital city. Again, we know that we have a centralized hub, which is this head office, and then the centralized model is used for franchisees, but it's decentralized as well, because at the franchise level they can make their own decisions. Brand integrity is critical for the business. You need to remember this. The truthfulness of the brand should showcase in every salon, so tight controls are important. It acts as the base for several functions. At this head office, there are several functions. The first function is franchise recruitment. So Trimayr competes directly with Fox and Tiffin, Norman and May, and Palo and True in relation to the recruitment of potential franchises, because there are 4 franchise-based haircutting salon chains in Dazzland. So naturally, when you are acquiring you are looking to acquire a franchise, there is direct competition with these other 3 players. Every new salon franchised by a rival is a lost opportunity for you. Competition is going to be intense. Franchise recruitment seeks to prevent this by engaging new franchisees. We have a department for this. Go out and search for new franchisees so that we can maintain our positive brand, positive growth of the brand. Let's put it that way. So acquisition cost, franchise acquisition cost and return on investment analysis from franchisees' fees and ongoing royalties is going to be an important discussion. Because let's say acquiring, convincing this particular franchise principal takes you 7-8 days, multiple hours. So time was the investment over here. In return, you will get franchisee free fees and royalties for a longer period of time. But this acquisition cost has to be managed or evaluated against this ROI analysis, and because it's related to performance, I'm mentioning it to you from the P2 syllabus. Franchise recruitment staff attend many hairdressing industry exhibitions and functions, seek to encourage attendees to consider the benefits of franchising with Trimayr. So this, staff, the franchise recruitment staff's one goal and one goal only is to acquire as many franchisees as possible, because if we don't acquire them, our competitors will. So their major job is pretty much sale of the franchise model. They also follow up on leads generated by a section of the company's website that promotes the benefits of franchising. So digital marketing via the company's website, we have a business intelligence system, we have a digital management, a website as well. So we are as a business leveraging the use of data. Good, easy to navigate websites can be our comparative advantage. So again, your topics related to, in the future, there could be an app as well for our franchise partners. So app management, data management, website management become important. Franchise recruitment staff are responsible for evaluating potential franchisees to ensure that they meet the selection criteria. They assist with the application process and support principals in establishing their salons in accordance with Trimayr requirements. So evaluating franchisees before approval reduces your operational and financial risk. So our risk management cycles become much better if we have strong evaluation of franchisees before we actually select them. Evaluating and supporting new franchisees can be treated as activities. So your activity-based cost for this, activity-based costing for this particular department makes sense because there are different activities. Two of them are going to be evaluating franchises, supporting franchisees, which could lead you to activity-based management, better management as well. Also, if Trimayr expands the franchise recruitment internationally, foreign currency comes in, so IS-21 again coming into the picture. So I'm throughout the way giving you new topics to list out. Next, franchise management. The first one was franchise recruitment. Second one is franchise management. Now, franchise management aims to encourage and support franchisees once Trimayr salons have commenced operation. After you have recruited them, you need to manage them. So franchise management reviews each salon's key performance indicators on a monthly basis, those 7 indicators that were pointed out. Salon principals are informed of their rankings relative to other Trimayr Sheen or Trimayr Pop salons. Where do they stand? The potential implications of any movements are described. If you go up, what are the benefits? If you go down, what are the losses? If any salon's performance deteriorates significantly, then franchise management will work with the principal to develop a plan to address this matter. And this department also conducts regular visits to inspect premises and interview salon staff. Any shortcomings identified during such visits must be rectified. So very clearly we have a recruitment function, and we have then a management function to help franchisees manage the business as much as possible. So franchise management operates within Trimayr's risk appetite. We are allowing, okay, some businesses might have underperformance. We have tolerance levels, but we need to correct it as quick as possible. But so for this reason, strong service level agreements, strong compliance to quality standards, safety standards will be very important from the performance aspect that we give to these franchisees, because only then there is a chance of them doing better. Next, franchise management uses salon data to calculate the monthly royalties that are payable to Trimayr. So the data, the point of sale data that we get at the end of the month, franchise management calculates the royalties that we are going to get. So the royalty calculation represents a transfer pricing mechanism between the franchisee and the franchisor. Over here, we need to ensure fairness while maximizing Trimayr's revenue from intellectual property, such as using our brands, using our systems, because this money will be transferred internally. You don't own that particular, you own the franchise, but you don't own that particular person. It's not a separate company, but still it's a separate profit generating unit which is paying you money. So from a transfer pricing aspect, it's going to be an important consideration. The department is also, transfer pricing, just to remind you all, is a very important topic from P2. The department is also responsible for the review of salons that have reached the end of the 5-year franchise. So this department helps with management of the business, plus calculates our royalties, plus decides the renewal at the end of the 5-year cycle. It bases its recommendations on recent salon performance and finding from inspections. Franchise management is also responsible for management of the 40 salons that are owned and operated by Trimayr. Now, continuously we have been speaking about big data, how our business can use big data, data analytics and all of that. To just give you some better examples and aspects, I have put in a supplementary reading on big data over here of how Trimayr can use big data. So just a box which I will want you to pause the video over here itself and view this box, read this box, just go through it at your own pace and it will make sense for you. Another box I have put up over here which I will go through with you is the transfer pricing aspect, because I have been speaking about transfer pricing continuously. Those who have revised P2 will already know this, but I'm going to apply it to Trimayr now. So transfer pricing is the setting of prices of goods and services between related companies. While Trimayr operates within Dazzland, the concept of transfer pricing can be relevant for us because, as we know, we have franchise salons, independent profit generating units sending us fees, royalties. So it's essentially about how the company values the internal transactions of goods and services. How can it apply to Trimayr? Let's say first, supply of good. If Trimayr's head office supplies its owned salons or its franchise salons with products, the price at which these goods are transferred is a transfer price. There could be a scenario in the exam where they tell you that, okay, we have a new system. The head office is procuring all of the hair products and then distributing it to our franchise salons. What will be the transfer pricing system that we should follow? First scenario, relating to supply of goods. You should have revised it. I am giving you the different scenarios. Second, provision of services. Trimayr's head office provides various services to salons, like management, like marketing, like training. There will be fees that you charge for these services. So what fee to charge? This is also a transfer price. Third, royalty fees. The royalty fees that franchisees pay to Trimayr for the use of its brand is also a form of transfer price. And if there are any internal transactions between the head office, between the franchise, between the owned salons as well, This will also require a transfer price. So in summary, while Trimayr might not face the complexities of international transfer pricing yet, it still needs to consider the principles of fair pricing, because tomorrow they might tell you that we are expanding to X country and we are going to supply it with services, supply it with goods. What will be the transfer price? So both scenarios, locally as well as globally, you should keep in mind from the transfer pricing discussion perspective. Very important. That is why I've given a whole table on it and on big data. So pause the video here and read through these tables again if the need be, because these are very, very, very important. Next, hair technology. This is another department. The first department was the one which franchise recruitment. Second department, franchise management. Third department, hair technology. Now, hair technology focuses on the creation of new hairstyles and also on the evaluation of products that can be used in treatment and care of hair. Again, target costing coming up over here. Evaluating new products could involve target costing, figuring out the price of the product plus the price that you can charge to the customer. So target costing coming into the picture over here. Hair technology has a team of experienced and expert hairdressers who seek to ensure that Trimayr's brands are recognized as leading fashion innovators. So we have a team of in-house experienced and expert hairdressers. The team aims to invent new styles that can be promoted through the media. Hair technology also works with third parties such as clothing designers and stylists employed in the entertainment industry to ensure that hairstyles complement trends in those industries. So this department's first job is to make sure that hairstyles that we offer are always trendy, are always in the news, let's put it that way. So this could be the chance to collaborate with other fashion designers. This could create strategic alliances or joint ventures which can enhance Trimayr's brand reputation. For example, you create a joint venture or a strategic alliance with a very, very well leading fashion designer, and then under that joint venture only you are allowed to replicate those hairstyles. Maybe this can bring more customers. So understanding how much customers are willing to pay for this new style is also assessing price elasticity. You have all of this data. With this data, you can assess if customers will be willing to pay extra for these new styles, for these new joint ventures, for these new business directions that you are looking to take. Salon customers are often willing to pay extra to have the latest hairstyles. Customer loyalty can also be encouraged by positive publicity arising from the fact that Trimayr salons are at the forefront of new trends. So a critical success factor for this department and for our business overall is our ability to lead fashion trends. So hair technology plays a direct role in meeting this CSF, because if these people don't innovate, don't know fashion trends, then retaining your customers through innovative services will not be possible. So those 7 KPIs are important to manage the performance of a franchise, but internally this is a critical success factor for our business. You should note it, obviously. Next, hair technology also evaluates new products, either for use in the salon or for sale to customers. Manufacturers often seek to interest Trimayr in new products that are under development. So you have a relationship, a stakeholder is manufacturers of hair products as well. Trimayr often seeks exclusivity on promising products so that they are only available in Trimayr salons. Hairdressers from hair technology frequently appear on television and on social media to discuss the latest trends in hairstyles and hair care. So we have this digital type of marketing going on as well. They also frequently quoted in newspapers and magazines. So firstly, social media appearances, so digital marketing. What I'm also coming up with Aug24 over here, related parties. Because if hair technology stylists receive additional compensation or have personal commercial interests in the products or media arrangements, there may be a need for related party disclosures. For example, one of our board of directors has a small stake in a product manufacturer whose products we are selling in our stores. There might need to be a related party disclosure in that particular situation. A new salon that we are opening up, the land that we have leased is owned by one of the hairdressers who works in hair technology, for example. Related party disclosure might be needed. Next department we have is marketing department. Now marketing is responsible for the promotion of both Trimayr brands, the Pop and the Sheen. Its responsibilities include advertising and maintenance of the company's website. IT is very important for our business. Website is very important for our business. We already know that. Next, we have the admin department. So overall management of operations, including HR, information systems, and legal. Finance obviously looks at internal and external accounting. Because we are speaking about human resource, this directly relates to your human capital in your IR framework, which is becoming more and more important in terms of, let's say, reporting. Now, what I am thinking of over here is my royalty income. And this is a financial asset for me. Remember that. Financial assets, financial liabilities is in your F2, in your F2 IASs. So Trimayr's account receivable, which is your royalty income. So when a franchisee earns revenues and owes Trimayr a royalty fee, this becomes account receivable. This is your right to receive your money, and from an accounting standpoint, it's a financial asset. So Trimayr records the royalty income as a financial asset on its balance sheet when it is earned, not when it's received. When it's earned, this is IFRS 15 rules. But when it's earned, you record it as a financial asset. Trimayr must assess the risk that franchisees might not pay these receivables. If there is any, if there is any indication that there is going to be an expected credit loss, it has to be noted. It has to be made an adjustment for. The accounts receivables are initially measured at the transaction price, and if there is any loss, it is adjusted. So very important that from the financial assets perspective, you are aware that the money that you are going to receive, the royalty income, is your asset. Same way, financial liabilities. I've just put an example of financial liabilities over here. It's less direct, so I won't go through it with you in class. But the financial asset is a very direct aspect of our business, which is bringing in the F2 topic of financial asset, financial liabilities recognition. So please be aware of the same. Next, we have Trimayr Academy. That's also one of the functions. So Trimayr Academy was established by Magda Trimayr in 1998. Initially, it was used to train Trimayr's apprentices in basic hairdressing skills and to educate newly appointed hairdressers. That was the initial job. The academy continues to train apprentices and qualified hairdressers, including those employed by Trimayr franchises. So we have apprentices who are employed by Trimayr franchises. That role has been expanded to include continuous professional development for hairdressers, including training on new styles that are being developed by hair technology. So if our hair technology department finds a new style, then the Trimayr Academy makes sure that that style is taught to our hairdressers. So it's a very interlinked business that we have. Hairdressing training is provided by experienced hairdressers who are seconded to the academy from their salons. So if in the salon there is an experienced hairdresser, he becomes part of the hairdressing training. Secondments last for 1 year. So hairdressing training is provided by experienced hairdressers who are seconded to the academy from their salons. So if the salon says that, okay, take this hairdresser and teach and give him hairdressing training, that's what the this Trimayr training department does. These secondments last for 1 year, training lasts for 1 year, ensuring that there is steady turnover in the hairdressing teaching staff. A secondment to the academy is regarded as prestigious. So our academy is prestigious, and many salon principals previously taught at the academy before deciding to open their own Trimayr franchise salons. So people will learn over here and then open up, and it's considered prestigious, and then they will open up their own salons. Now succession planning and motivation will be important over here. Now because our system or our academy has prestige, it is considered as an important motivator. Secondments create a talent pipeline supporting succession planning for salon principals. If a proper salon principal is set up, then you can have another salon as well, or another salon can also be franchised to be taken care of by that principal. So this entire training ecosystem is one that we have created to support our growth. Trainees are provided with classroom training on styling techniques and the use of products. They also have the opportunity to practice hairstyling and hair treatment on volunteers, most of whom live close to the academy. Volunteers are not charged for their treatment. Apprentices are closely supervised while working on these volunteers. So you get a textbook study plus you get a classroom training as well, and where you get to practice on volunteers. The academy also provides training for salon principals in the skills required for the operation of successful franchises. There is a compulsory induction course that is offered several times a year for salon principals. Applicants for franchises must complete that course before their salons can do business under the Trimayr brand. So you should have business knowledge as well. There is also ongoing training for principals, both classroom based and online. Business skills are taught by permanent teaching staff who have background in relevant subjects such as accountancy, HR, and marketing. So we have training courses for hairdressers plus training courses for principals, and we have permanent teaching staff as well. The academy's head of school is Fiona Regan. She joined Trimayr as an apprentice hairdresser in the late 1980s. She worked under the direct supervision of Magda Trimayr at the company's largest salon before the adoption of the franchise approach to the business. So when the franchise approach to business was changed, there was an academy that was set up, and then in this academy, Fiona now leads the academy, and she worked under direct supervision of Magda, so she knows the company's values, principles from the very start. Fiona was regarded as one of Trimayr's most innovative hairdressers before the academy was founded. She has served as head of school since then, so since 1998, 27 years she has been there. And the academy is located on the edge of capital city. So some focused approach on important concepts that have been discussed above. First, capital investment process. Trimayr may face capital rationing decisions when expanding or upgrading the economy when you are starting something new. So capital, the concept of capital rationing coming into the picture over here. Second, again, investment appraisal. Trimayr should use NPV and IRR when evaluating the financial viability of investments in, let's say, expanding academy operations, such as new training programs, what will be the NPV, what will be the IRR? No calculation, but I'm just giving you a scenario that they can ask you that, okay, we are using NPV. How does NPV work? Advantages of NPV that you should have revised. Same way, topic 3, timing of tax savings associated with tax depreciation. If you are building new training facilities, they can claim tax depreciation, which will reduce your payable tax, which will improve your cash flows. Again, P2, inflation. Inflation impacts both the cost of running the academy and future franchise revenue streams. If inflation increases, the real returns from investment in academy expansion may decrease. So in your NPV calculations, using real cash flows, nominal cash flows, and proper discount rates becomes an important discussion. Again, these concepts within P2 are very important. I would request you again, pause the video here. I have explained this box for you, but go through the details of the box one by one by reading the sentences. That is also important while we go through this together. Next, Trimayr's board structure. They've given us the board layout with Hasim Ibrahim, the Chief Executive Officer, at the top. Under him, we have different departments: franchise department, hair technology, marketing, admin, finance. We already went through the departments. So it's a very departmental, functional, organizational structure. Each department focuses on their job and then reports to the CEO. This again reflects Trimayr's centralized decision making and clear hierarchy from the very beginning. This is good because easy scalability, easy consistency, because there is good control, clear accountability. Finance accountability lies with Luyana. Admin accountability lies with Pavlo. Marketing accountability lies with Yatima. So same way, because of a functional structure, there is very clear specialization, very clear accountability. Just know that within your E2 syllabus, there is the option to expand into a divisional structure or a matrix structure as the organization continues to grow. They also tell us that we have non-executive directors: Thomas Murray, then there is Sabrina, Ram, Ruth, and Remo. So if we look at the structure of the organization, because corporate governance is an important consideration for us, we can see that corporate governance has not been honored over here in terms of the board balance. There are 6 executive directors, 1 for each department plus CEO, and 5 non-executive directors. So there is imbalance in the board. If I follow the UK corporate governance code, this is not the right approach. The roles of CEO and chairman are separate. Okay, this is very good. But there is no mention of audit committee, remuneration committee, nominations committee, risk committee. So if these committees don't exist, then again, you are not sticking to best corporate governance practices. Next, they've given us Trimayr business model. Now, throughout the pre-scene, I'm choosing to call it Trimayr. You can call it Trimayr or whatever you want to do. This is just my way of pronouncing it. So first, we have defining value. How we define value, how we create value, how we deliver value, and how we capture value is going to be an important consideration. And for this reason, I have created a box for you that I'm going to go through. So first, how do we define value? Trimayr collaborates with key stakeholders, including the fashion industry, media, and product manufacturers, to define value through brand prestige and innovation. So over here, we are learning about stakeholder management as an important aspect to deliver value, or rather define value. The right word is define value. Second is creating value. Value is created through premium service offerings at pop and sheen salons, supported by high quality customer experiences. So again, critical success factor is your high quality customer experience, making sure that we achieve that by providing good innovative premium services. Third, delivering value. How do we deliver value? Trimayr ensures accessibility and convenience through our salons, flexible working hours, making it easy to use. Next, capturing. How do we capture the value? Residual value is captured through franchise royalty. How do we earn royalties? Franchises fund growth, while Trimayr benefits from royalty income without heavy capital investment. Your segmental analysis, revenue analysis, important over here. So Trimayr's end-to-end value cycle demonstrates strategic alignment between four major things: innovation, customer experience, good standardized operational efficiency, and it is financially sustainable. These 4 points I will ask you to remember about our value cycle. This understanding the value plan, the value cycle, the business model is going to be very, very, very important for you. So please, this highlights which I have provided along with this diagram is what you have to be very clear about, because we will be discussing this very much in detail in our mock questions. And that has got me to the end of part 2 of your pre-scene analysis. Part 2 is huge, lots of volume. Please be very clear about part 1, go through it again if you want. Then part 2, make sure you have a solid list of topics ready for part 1, part 2. Then you will start with part 3, which is the financial part.